Konnichiwa Mina, and here is week 13 of the 2018 DCFL season. Last week we made 2/3 for the season as we're down to the final 6 weeks of the regular season as we look at the standings, and still the Indianapolis Rapid Stallions have a 2-game lead with the Seattle Tenyo right behind them at 8-4, and Jacksonville and Pittsburgh are the other playoff teams at 7-5. With then after that, the Phoenix Devils, the Chicago Staleys, and the New York Gangsters all 6-6. The Baltimore Charm 5-7. The Charlotte Bobcats 4-8. And Oakland Pillagers last place at 0-11. And they could be eliminated this week if they lose or Jacksonville and Pittsburgh win. So now we take a look at the schedule for week 13 as we got a whole bunch of big games with the Baltimore Charm visiting the Phoenix Devils. That's playoff implications. Then the Pittsburgh Power visiting the Charlotte Bobcats as Jake's teams are going to go at it. Then the Seattle Tenyo visiting the Chicago Staleys. That's big playoff implications. And then the Indianapolis Rapid Stallions visiting the Jacksonville Scouts. That's going to be huge. Huge game right there. And then we finish off the week with the New York Gangsters visiting the Oakland Pillagers. So we start off the week with the Baltimore Charm visiting the Phoenix Devils. Baltimore's lost 3 in a row now, and nothing's going right for my Charm whatsoever. Meanwhile, the Devils got a big win last week, trying to stay within 500 and trying to get back into the playoff chase, as they're just 1 game back from getting back into the mix. And Baltimore would dominate Phoenix 37-20. Oh my goodness. Over 450 yards of offense from Baltimore. Where the hell was that early in the season when I need that? Jesus Christ, my offense is inconsistent. And with that dominant win, we have the tiebreaker, the ultimate one against the Devils, as we swept them. A huge win for my Charm to end their 3-game losing streak. A tough loss for Phoenix, as my goodness God. Their chances of making the playoffs get slimmer and slimmer with each loss. After that, we go down to Charlotte for an all-showdown with Jake's team as the Pittsburgh Power visits the Charlotte Bobcats. The Bobcats have been struggling the last bunch of weeks. Meanwhile, Pittsburgh, holy shit, they've won 4 in a row, and now they're right back in the playoff mix, in the playoffs too if the season ended today. Could they keep the winning streak going to overtake Jacksonville for the 3rd seed for this week maybe? And no, they wouldn't. Charlotte wins 27-17 in an all-defensive rout, believe it or not, as Pittsburgh got almost 450 yards of offense, over 100 yards more than Charlotte, but Charlotte's 1 sack, 5 interceptions, 3 forced fumbles, and a defensive score completely shut down Pittsburgh's offense. They got a whole bunch of yards but couldn't get no points out of it. Holy crap, what a defensive showing Charlotte did as Pittsburgh suffered their first loss after their 4-game winning streak, I mean to say. They still have the 4th seed, at least for right now. Then we head out to Chicago as the Seattle Tenyo visits the Chicago Staleys. The Tenyo got a huge win last week, knocking out Jacksonville to maintain their 2nd seed in the playoffs. The Staleys got a big win last week as they're right back in the playoff mix. And if a win here, they can possibly get right back in the 4th seed, possibly, as last time they met in Seattle was a defensive showdown. I think went to overtime too. Will it be another defensive showdown this time? And no, Seattle would win it 23-22 as the Chicago Staleys had a complete and utter meltdown in the 4th quarter. They led 22-free going into the 4th quarter, and then the Tenyo scored 20 unanswered points, including the game-winning touchdown with just less than a minute remaining. Holy shit! Unbelievable! What a complete and utter meltdown this was for Chicago, as this is officially the Windy City Meltdown. We have our first DCFL lore game. Man, with that huge win, Seattle maintains their 2nd seed as the Staleys, now they lost the ultimate tiebreaker to Seattle as they're still back outside in looking into the playoffs. Then it's out to Jacksonville as the big showdown, the Indianapolis Rapid Stallions visits the Jacksonville Scouts. Indianapolis on I think it was a 2 or 3 game winning streak or something like that, trying to win here to get closer and closer to clinching the first playoff spot in the league. Meanwhile, Jacksonville trying to win now as they got a perfect shot to maintain their 3rd seed and get a 1-game lead over Pittsburgh. These two met Indianapolis early in the season, and that was an offensive shootout. I wonder what it will be this time. And Jacksonville will get the win 33-27 They dismantled and destroyed Indianapolis throughout the game until the fourth quarter came, where Indianapolis tried to make a huge comeback. They got within a score with just a few minutes remaining. However, they failed the onside kick, and Jacksonville managed to run out the clock to secure their win, getting their revenge from their 8-point loss earlier in Indianapolis. So, Jacksonville maintains now the 3rd seed. Indianapolis still maintains the number 1 seed, as Jacksonville's trying to cut that 2-game deficit behind Indianapolis to try and take over and get the number 1 seed. And of course, with this win, they split their tiebreakers, so now it's going to become who could probably have the better point differential, who has the better strength of victory percentage. Then we finish off the week with the New York Gangsters, visiting the Oakland Pillagers, as New York got a win last week. Now they're in perfect spot to possibly challenge Pittsburgh for that last playoff seed for the moment. Meanwhile, Oakland still trying to fight for their playoff lives. If they lose this game, they will be eliminated. And of course, let's see what happens this time, and possibly a defensive showdown. And Oakland would pull off the victory, 27-16, kind of like in the same way they did against Seattle a few weeks ago. They were completely being destroyed in the first half, but after that, they shut down New York completely with 3 sacks and 2 interceptions to get the win, despite the fact that they had almost 100 yards less than New York. What a big win this was. And of course, with this victory, Oakland still remains in the playoff race, believe it or not. Holy shit. And with that, Week 13 is in the books as we take a look at the standings now, as we get ready to go into Week 14 next time out. It's the seeds still remain the same: Indianapolis, Seattle, Jacksonville, Pittsburgh with the 4th playoff seed. My Baltimore Charm moved up to be the runner-up spot right now with the tiebreaker over Chicago and New York, and Phoenix too, as Chicago had the tiebreaker over Phoenix in New York, and New York had the tiebreaker over Phoenix. Charlotte Bobcats second to last at 5-8, and the Oakland Pillagers still last place at 2-11. And of course, we have some playoff scenarios. First off, Indianapolis, if they win next week, and Baltimore, Chicago, New York, and Phoenix all lose, they will clinch a playoff spot, the first one to do so as well. And Oakland, they can easily be eliminated still. All they need to do is either lose or Pittsburgh wins. But that's it in terms of playoff clinching and elimination. And we then take a look at the Week 14 schedule, as we start off with the Charlotte Bobcats visiting the Baltimore Charm, and then it's the Chicago Staleys visiting the Indianapolis Rapid Stallions, then the Jacksonville Scouts visiting the New York Gangsters, the Oakland Pillagers visiting the Pittsburgh Power, and we finish off that week with the Phoenix Devils visiting the Seattle Tenyo. And with that, Week 13 is in the books. I can't wait for Week 14, as we're down to the final 5 weeks as we get closer to the playoffs. So see you soon for Week 14.